Good morning, everybody. I am your host, Jay Kozak, and this is Get Up and Get Better. Get better. Go get it. Good morning, everyone. Thank you again for watching yesterday, and thank you for being here today. I'm Jake Kozak, your host. This is Get Up and Get Better. What are we trying to do? We're trying to bring some motivation to your morning to bring through your entire day. Look, baseball ended yesterday. I love baseball. I've said that before, and it wasn't my team who won the World Series. It was the Dodgers. And look, I respect what the Dodgers did. They put together an amazing team over the last couple years, and they failed. They failed multiple years. They got to 2017, the World Series, they lost. 2018, they lost again. They didn't make it in 2019, but they won it in 2020. It's been a long time coming. They put a great team together, and they kept adding pieces, and they didn't accept failure. What did they do? When they failed, they said, you know what? We're going to find the next piece. And they kept finding pieces. They got Mookie Betts, an MVP. They got Cody Bellinger they drafted. They got Corey Seager. All these pieces came together, and they created a World Series champion team. I'm wearing Brooklyn because I'm a Yankee fan. I can't wear a Los Angeles Dodgers jersey, but I got it right here, Sandy Koufax. You know, this is actually the 1955 pennant jersey right there. And look, it's 2020, and they won another one. When I think of Los Angeles winning last night, I also think about the Lakers winning the NBA Finals. You know, LeBron Anthony Davis brought them their championship for the Lakers. Clayton Kershaw, Mookie Betts, Cody Bellinger, they brought it for the Dodgers. And who I was thinking of yesterday is a man who is beloved in Los Angeles and across the country, and that was Kobe Bryant. And that's who I was thinking of yesterday. And look, this year started off with one of the most heartbreaking news stories I've ever heard in my life, and that was the loss of Kobe Bryant and his daughter and everyone else that was on that helicopter. And I remember that day, and I remember it just felt like the world shifted a bit because it just felt so shocking, and it felt, you know, such like a surprise to the entire world. And look, Kobe Bryant was to basketball, and I talked about Derek Jeter yesterday. They started the same year, and that's what Kobe Bryant was to basketball. He was the face of it, the NBA. He motivated and brought so much motivation and inspiration, and he brought something called the Mamba Mentality, and that was his mentality. He got the word Mamba from the movie Kill Bill. He saw the Mamba, and he said it just described what he was: ferocious. He was an attacker on the court. He was a presence that was ready to strike at any moment on that court. And that's why he took on the persona of the Black Mamba. And look, that Mamba mentality was so special and unique. And there's a couple quotes I wanted to talk about. Look, Kobe Bryant was a 5-time NBA Finals champion. He was an MVP, 18-time All-Star. But I think the most everlasting impact he will have will be this Mamba mentality. And here is a quote that Kobe said that I want to start off with today.
Felt that he had accomplished all that he set out to accomplish. But what he come to realize is that the goal that he set out initially of becoming the greatest of all time was a very fickle one. And what he realized that the most important thing in life is how your career moves and touches those around you and how it carries forward to the next generation.
So he came into the league at 18 years old, and, you know, he always had this mindset. He wanted to be the greatest basketball player alive, and he set out to do it, and during his generation, he was undoubtedly the greatest, and he realized as time went on that, you know, he kept thinking inwardly, but it was more important for him to think outwardly and think about how he can leave a true impact, because when you're so focused on being great, and you're so focused on being the best, that is a very inward goal. But what can you do when you achieve that accomplishment? What can you do after? And that's when the great, true, good stuff begins, because you can affect other people's journey, and that's how you create an everlasting impact. Like I said with this Mamba mentality, that's what he will leave behind forever, this mentality. that's going to change the world, and that's what has been changing the world ever since he came into the league. And then he also talked about this.
If I had the power to turn back time, I would never use it. I don't think about it. Because then every moment that you go through means absolutely nothing, but you can always go back and do it again. So it loses its flavor, it loses its beauty. When things are final, moments won't ever come again.
A lot of people think about the past, and the past is just a distraction from the present. And look, if I had a time machine, I wouldn't want to go back in the past either. I would want to live where I am now, and that this idea that, if you had the chance to change things, that would just affect everything you are today and what you've done and what you overcame. And like him, I wouldn't even want to change the things that were bad in my life. I wouldn't want to change anything, because that builds who you are today. Now, there's this quote that I was actually watching. I came across this today, and I love this concept.
The players that had that passion but weren't willing to commit their entire lives to doing that, right? It's a choice, right? You have other things, you have family, you have all these other things that you have to do. The game can't really be your number one priority. And so I was looking at that like, man, this is gonna be fun.
If I'm buddies with you from high school, if I'm a cousin of yours, what happened to our relationship? How did that gravitate when you went into the league and you're determined to become the greatest, or you're determined to become one of the greatest? What happens to our relationship?
Well, it suffers.
It does suffer.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you understood that. You were okay with that.
Well, yeah. And the people that love you, like friends and family, like they know that about you.
Got it.
So they let you be you. And when you reconvene, you pick back up where you left off. Mm-hmm. But make no mistake about it, everything in between is lost, right? So those long-term relationships, the commitment of time of, taking vacation. Like I see a lot of players take vacations with other players that are close friends. And they'll just take vacations just to take vacations, or just hang out just to hang out. Like I never did that.
Why not though? Why didn't you do that?
Well, because when I retire, I didn't want to have to say, I wish I would have done more. I don't want that. I don't want that.
I relate to this. I'll be honest, I relate to what he's saying. And I think that's a big issue in today's world, is that, when you come down to it, so many people try and live life to impress on social media, and so many people try to, live up to other people's expectations, but some people understand that a sacrifice has to be made. If you can't have a personal life because everything has to be given to your dream and your goal, because that's what it takes, you shouldn't look down upon that person in your life. And if they really are your friend and they truly love you, you won't lose them. You won't lose them, but you have to let them go after what they want. And I can relate to this. I don't have much of a personal life. I'll be honest. I focused all my time and attention for the most part on every goal in my life. And look, that doesn't mean that I wouldn't love to go hang out. That doesn't mean like I wouldn't love to have some fun. But to me, my life's worth living because I'm doing what I love. And you shouldn't look down on people. And just because someone's not doing what you think is right, just because, your friend isn't going out that night, just because your friend isn't in a relationship, just because your friend is trying to put all their time and attention into their careers, doesn't mean they're crazy. And it doesn't mean they don't care about you. It means that they're trying to go after something. And some people just will not understand that a sacrifice has to be made. Some people have been given everything to where they're happy and content, and there's no problem with that. They have achieved what they want. They just want to be happy. They want to be content. But sometimes there are goals and dreams that require all your time and attention. And I just love what he said here, because it doesn't mean that person doesn't care. It just means that they have focus on the one thing they have to focus on if they're going to achieve their happiness. Now, last quote of his that I want to touch upon for the day is this one. I'm going to start here.
I had a purpose. I wanted to be one of the best basketball players to ever play. And anything else that was outside of that lane, I didn't have time for. I made that deal with myself at 13 years old. So everything I saw, whether it was TV shows, whether it was books I read, people I talked to, everything was done to try to learn how to become a better basketball player. Everything. And so when you have that point of view, then literally the world becomes your library to help you to become better at your craft. So at 13 years old, I had
The world becomes your library. And when you are living in this way, anything that you watch, anything that you read, whether it be a book or Twitter, or you're watching a TV show, you're watching a film, or you're watching the news, it should be correlated to what you're trying to achieve. And that's not saying that you shouldn't ever expand your knowledge, but I know for me, whenever I have free time, I try and use that time towards, I want to be an entertainment host, so I'll watch entertainment shows and I'll watch motivational videos, and I'm focusing on my attention and I'm letting the world become my library. I love that idea that the world is your library. It doesn't have to be a book. You don't have to read a book. Your knowledge doesn't just come from reading or academics. Your knowledge comes from what you absorb and what you put your attention on. And I think that it's necessary to actually take your attention and your undivided focus and put it on, even if it's in the smallest way connected, try and put that focus to become great at whatever it is you want to do, because there are people who are going to be average and there's only one that's going to be great, and that you want to be that one. You want to be the greatest. You have to focus all your attention on that. And to end this, I want to share this Kobe Bryant story I read. Jay Williams went to the facility to go work out before the game early, and he says he saw Kobe Bryant, and he worked out for a good hour and a half, and when he came down, he still heard the ball bouncing, and he just ended up watching Kobe work out. It was Kobe Bryant, the greatest player on the team, and he was there early to get an hour and a half of work in before everyone else. And even though he was the greatest, he still put in that work, and that's what sets apart the greatness, putting in that work. And Jay Williams went up to him after the game and said, "Hey Kobe, why were you in the gym for so long?" He said, "Because I saw you come in, and I wanted you to know that it doesn't matter how hard you work, I am willing to work harder than you." And that is the Mamba mentality. That is a drive and a competitive force that is unmatched. But I understand what he's saying. I know for me, whenever I go to work, you give me an 8-hour shift, I'm working at 10. You give me a 10-hour shift, I'm working at 12. I'll work 16 hours. I will be the last one in, I'll be the first one in. And it doesn't matter when. I will outwork anyone, because like I always say, that is within your control. And that's what Kobe Bryant understood, that it doesn't matter how much talent you're given. You still have to put in the work. If you're very talented, not very talented, but you're willing to put in the work, that's a difference maker. And if you have that talent, like he did, he still didn't settle. He still wanted to take that talent and take it to the next level. And that's why that Kobe Bryant was such a loss for the world, because he put people's minds into focus on your dream and your one goal and being great. And look, Kobe Bryant, you were missed every single day, but thank you for changing the world, because you were the greatest and you changed the world. And Kobe Bryant understood that he wasn't good enough, because he could always get better. And that's what I want you all to do right now, is to realize that you can be better. You can be better than who you are. No matter how great you are right in this moment, you can always have more. I want to thank you all for watching, and go get better.